Many of you have heard that I've got something to shout about. Well, I do. And that's why we're cooking up good health. Stay right where you are. We'll be back in a moment. Don't move. Thanks for sitting where you were. Why do I have something to shout about? Because in 1996, who I thought lived fairly healthfully, went into my doctor for a regular checkup. And ladies, you need to go regularly every year for your annual exam with your physician and schedule one for the men and children in your life. But on this particular day, I went to see my doctor, and I'd had a history of fibrocystic breast disease. And this year, we had been following a lump in my breast, and the doctor said, why don't we just do a mammogram, Donna, this time. I was 37 years old. We did the mammogram, and I kept getting phone calls. I would go on vacation, I'd come back, another phone call. Go on vacation, come back, another phone call. The final phone call I got was, you have cancer. And I'm thinking, there's no way. I work for Morehouse School of Medicine. I teach people how not to get it. I'm college educated. My husband and I make enough money. I go to the doctor. I eat healthfully. I exercise. How in the world did this happen to me? I had one surgery. They took the lump out. I had another surgery. They went under my arm and took out lymph nodes. Of the 17 lymph nodes that they took out, there was cancer in 6 of them. I was told by my physician that I was guaranteed to die within 2 to 5 years. They recommended that I have chemotherapy, a stem cell transplant, more chemotherapy, radiation, and tamoxifen. And as a health educator, I was trained at Loma Linda University, which has a rich history of looking at the effect of diet and lifestyle on the impact or incidence or prevalence of disease. I was a little concerned because nobody was saying to me, Donna, you have this disease. As a matter of fact, one doctor in particular kept saying, we don't know why you have this, and there's nothing that you can do, and you should listen to me and do what I say. Well, I couldn't just do that because I'm trained as a health educator. I knew a little bit more, and I believe in a creator God who says that above all things, he wishes that we would prosper and be in health. And so I got on my knees and I talked to my creator, and I decided that I would radically change my lifestyle. I changed how I slept. I changed how I exercised. I got outside and got plenty of sunlight. I changed my way of eating. I began to put things into more balance. Ladies, you can have everything that you want. You just can't have it all at the same time. And I was trying to be too many things to too many different people at the same time. I started drinking more water and less soda. I started using water on the outside of my body in addition to the inside of my body. And once I put the water on the outside of my body and manipulated that wonderful circulatory system that God has, I got so much better improvement, not only in the breast cancer, but in some other health issues as well. I stopped working out in the gym and I went outside. And then I decided that God knew the plans that he had for me, and I wasn't wise enough to plan my own life. And so each day I start by asking him what it is that you want me to do. And here I am almost 13 years later, depending on when you're viewing this video, and I'm free of the cancer and the constipation and the uterine fibroids and the hair loss and the weight gain and the heart rhythms that were irregular and the insomnia and so many other complications of making poor lifestyle decisions. And so today what I want to introduce you to is the same simple information. Whenever you go to buy a car or get your hair done for that matter, you don't just go to the first person. I remember when I was moving to Huntsville, we had all figured out where we were going to live, and our realtor had been in touch with us about everything. And then I thought, where am I going to get my hair done? So I dialed Carnice and I'm like, listen, thanks for the house, but where's the hairdresser? And I started going over to see my hairdresser, Tiffany, at Tiffany's Salon, after I got some recommendations and checked out and compared her against some other things. So when you get information about your health, don't just take the first thing, go and compare. And if you believe like I believe, compare it to what the Creator God has also put out there for you to learn. one of the first things that I discovered was the beautiful bounty of plants that we find on the face of the earth and the benefits that are associated with them. And I started eating from the bounty of the land in as close to nature a state as possible. And what I have in front of you today are beautiful, beautiful colors of the foods that we can find. And if you live in the South, I remember I didn't always like raspberries and blueberries when I was a child, but as I came through this cancer experience and I discovered the benefit to my health, I started investigating how I could eat them. When I think about raspberries, I went online and I did a little more research for this particular recipe and discovered that raspberries have 10 times more antioxidants in them than tomatoes. And when I teach this class to my students, I compare antioxidants to that relative in your family that kind of keeps everything straight. You know, when you go for a family reunion and there's this free radical running all over the place and he's causing havoc in the family gathering, and then there's somebody who can say, look, get a grip, slow down. That's what the antioxidants do in your system, because you have these free radicals flowing all over the place because of the buildup and breakdown of things in our system. But the antioxidants kind of put a lid on it and keep things under control. So the raspberries have 10 times more antioxidants than tomatoes. The strawberries are an excellent source of calcium. If you've been told you just have to get it from milk and those other products, you don't have to do that. You can eat all these little seeds on here is where the calcium is. The blueberries are anti-cancer, and we're all familiar with the fact that the blueberries really help your brain. And you need, remember, a mind is a terrible thing to waste, so get a couple blueberries to help that brain out. Then the cranberries, you often hear about people who have urinary tract infections eating cranberries. Well, we know that it helps to reverse the urinary tract infection, but they're also discovering that if you make cranberries a regular part of your diet, then you can prevent the urinary tract infections from happening. And then pineapple. In our family, we buy a fresh pineapple every week, and my husband has the job of cutting it up, and we will eat it the entire week. It's gone. Every week we have a fresh pineapple in our house. Sometimes, if the pineapple is really good, it barely makes it to the table. And so when I looked at the pineapples, they have some anti-inflammatory processes, which are also excellent if you're trying to fight cancer or hypertension or diabetes or some other diseases like that. The phytochemicals that are in here were placed there on purpose. It's not by accident that these are this color red and this is a different color red and this is a beautiful yellow. The phytochemicals add flavor, color, pigment, and scent. And you know what? If you decide today to stick around and listen to the rest of our broadcast, I'm going to show you how to put together a beautiful salad and a couple other things that are going to have you shouting, and they're going to have you shouting, and you're going to be well, and you're going to say hallelujah, and that's what we do here when we cook up good health. Don't roll away. We'll be right back. Looking to improve your health? You might think twice before you grab that cup of coffee. Caffeine is a stimulant that picks you up, but only temporarily. But you already knew that, right? I wonder if you knew that caffeine is addictive, elevates blood sugar and triglycerides, increases blood pressure, worsens PMS symptoms, increases stomach acid secretion, causes insomnia, irregular heartbeat, and increased stimulation of the nervous system, overriding the body's need for rest. To really make it through the day, tap into the body's own natural stimulant, rest. The rest we gain during nightly sleep is vitally important to help the body respond to the duties of the day. It also helps diabetics respond better to insulin. The 3 hours between 9 p.m. and midnight are the best time to go to sleep because those 3 hours are really worth 6 to the body. During that time, the body restores itself to get you ready for the next full day. And when the body is fully rested, you awaken, usually without an alarm and with enough energy to face the day without that cup of coffee. Join the celebration. Get some rest starting tonight. Welcome back. I sure hope you called somebody during the break because we want as many people as you know to get this information. I was actually making this dish when my son was about 4 or 5 years old, maybe a little earlier than that because I was still staying at home with him. And I didn't realize the importance of it, of course, until after the breast cancer diagnosis. But the way that I like to introduce it to people is if around Thanksgiving time, you're used to doing cranberry sauce, which is quite popular in America at that time of the year. This is kind of a twist on that. I start out with pineapple. Today I'm using pineapple spears, but usually I'll just have a can of crushed pineapple, your favorite brand. And this is how hard it is from this point forward. You take the raspberries and you dump them in. You take the strawberries and you dump them in. And if you like the strawberries to be sliced, sometimes we'll slice them. Sometimes I'll just cut them in half or in fourths. You take the blueberries and dump them in. And these blueberries came from my friend Edna's farm. And usually during the summertime, what I'll do is get fruit that is fresh and in season and do what's called a tray pack so that the fruit doesn't freeze hard up against each other. Every piece is separate to itself. And then when it's time for the holidays, I just pull out my fresh fruit and make the salad. Then what I have here is a can of whole berry cranberry sauce and another can of jelly cranberry sauce. And if you've decided not to eat the cranberry sauce because it might have a little too much sugar in it, what you can do is what my friend Nancy does, and she takes the fresh cranberries and puts them in the pot with some white grape raspberry juice concentrate. And she'll cook them, and when you cook cranberries, they start to pop. And once they've popped, you just take them off the stove, and then you can add that to this mixture. Doesn't that look good? One of the girls on the set is talking about anytime it's hot. She could eat fruit anytime, but when it's hot and there's just a little frozen fruit, that's really good. And then she suggested that I make some smoothies, and this is something else that you could do with this as well. Put it in the blender and blend it up. Now, if you want to add a couple other things to it, what I recommend is nuts, your favorite nut. And today I'm not going to mix them in. I'm just going to put them on kind of like a garnish. And I'm going to use pecans. We've got some pecans here, and I'm just kind of going to put them here in the middle. And if you have another kind of nut that you like, you can use that nut. And then I'm going to take a little coconut and sprinkle that around. Doesn't that look beautiful? And just think, it's getting into your bloodstream and it's saying, down cancer, get back blood pressure, go away heart disease. And it might sound silly, but literally what they have done at the National Cancer Institute, I believe it is, in the same building where they are testing out the effect of drugs on your body. On one floor, they're testing out the effects of foods on your body. And in the laboratory, they take out the phytochemicals of these foods and they analyze them. And when they put them in the bodies, those phytochemicals literally morph out the things that are not supposed to be in your body. And you end up without having the disease anymore. So this is something very simple that you can do. And I think if you do it and like it, you don't just have to serve it at Thanksgiving time. You can eat it year round. Now, the next thing that I want to show you as we move over here to the stove is another way to prepare a topping for waffles, or unless you want to eat this by itself in a bowl. That's what my aunt does when she comes into town. But many times, type 2 diabetics have issues with sugar. And there are so many different messages that you're getting about you should eat sugar, you shouldn't eat sugar. If you want to improve your diabetes, you definitely should not eat sugar. I want to say that there's nothing wrong with sweet. It's just the source of sweet that you get. And so for a diabetic who's been told that they shouldn't eat the sugar, the processed sugar, I agree with that because when you're eating the food that's processed, it wreaks havoc on your blood sugar levels, and that's what pushes you or helps to push you over into diabetes. But what I have here is just a simple pot, and it already has some cornstarch in it. And what we're going to do is turn this eye on and then turn it down a little lower. And I'm going to slowly add a can of fruit juice concentrate. And this fruit juice concentrate is white grape raspberry. Whenever I work with cornstarch, what I try to do is add the liquid to the cornstarch slowly so that it doesn't really get too clumpy. And if you have a wire whisk, that helps to spread it out. And then you're just going to add this to the cornstarch and keep stirring it as if you were making some kind of oriental dish with liquid and cornstarch. And as you continue to stir this in on this heat, I may need to turn it up a little bit more. As you stir it in on this heat, it's going to thicken up. And then you can put fruit of your choice in it. One of the favorite ones that I like to do is to put mangoes in it. And if I'm going to do one with mango, you could use white grape peach juice and put peaches or mangoes in it. If you wanted to do one of another favorite fruit or a combination of fruits. You could use another fruit juice concentrate. You don't always have to use white grape juice or white grape peach or white grape raspberry. You can also use apple juice concentrate. And this is actually the concentrated juice of a fruit, so they haven't taken away a whole lot of the benefits except for the fiber. And then as this thickens, if you add the fruit back to it, you're adding whole fruit, so the fiber is going to increase. You don't have to worry about how quickly it enters your bloodstream because it's caught up in this. It might take a little while for you to adjust to the sweetness level of it if you're really used to eating things that are really sweet, but once you get in the habit of it, it's the best thing to do. When my Aunt Betty comes to visit, she asks, are you having the hash? And do you have my blueberry stuff to go over my waffles? While we take a break, I'm going to finish thickening this up and then put in the strawberries. And when you come back, I'm going to show you how to make a fruit crisp. Don't move from that chair until I get back.
Okay, so the most exercise you get is using your thumb to change the remote. Do you know what benefits you'd gain if you got up and walked? Walking as a regular form of exercise does more than make you lose weight. Walking helps to lower blood sugar, strengthen the heart, lower blood pressure, lower bad cholesterol, raise good cholesterol, relieve stress, relieve depression, increase energy, improve circulation, help us sleep better, strengthen our bones, and decrease our risk for diabetes, heart disease, cancer, arthritis, and osteoporosis. Just 30 to 40 minutes a day of active exercise will give you the maximum benefit. If you can't do it all at once, break up your time into 2 to 3 shorter time periods. If it's cold outside, dress warmly. If it's raining lightly, use an umbrella. If you like company, invite a friend or neighbor. If you need a safe place, join a walking group at the mall. If you really want to improve your health, just put down the remote, rise, make up your bed, and start a walking program today.
Thanks for sticking by. We're getting ready to show you now how you can make something really good to eat, really simple, and pretty much you decide what fruit you want to go into it. I'm sure many of you in the summertime make fruit crisps, and this is a recipe that I'm going to demonstrate where you don't use any processed sugar, but you use fruit juice concentrate instead. Today we're going to use peaches, and I've decided to use about 4 cups of peaches, and I've already put a little vanilla in there. You can either use the crystallized vanilla or the liquid vanilla, but make sure you find the vanilla that doesn't have any alcohol in it. And then in this cup, what I have is a can of white grape peach juice concentrate, and I've already added about, let's see, how much did I put in here? About a tablespoon of cornstarch. Once you put the cornstarch in there, that's going to thicken it up while it bakes. And I've also added like a pinch of salt. I'm going to pour that in here. And then I have learned how to cook with a variety of different seasonings. You grow up in the South, everything is cinnamon and nutmeg all the time. But going to Oakwood University, I have met friends from around the world. And when I lived in Atlanta, I met a lot of friends. One of my good friends, Jennifer Bent, actually was my Caribbean, West Indian friend who gave me so much inspiration to make Caribbean dishes healthy. And so she introduced me to coriander, and I'm going to put a little of that in there, and a little Jamaican allspice. And that's all we're going to do to this to season it. And if you wanted to use strawberries or blueberries or blackberries or mango and peach, I think would be really good together. Then I'm going to pour this in the pan, just like this. Of course, if you have fresh fruit, it's going to be absolutely the best. And if you get the fresh fruit in the summertime, of course, you can either freeze it or bottle it up. And then you have it later on in the year if you want to make these, because nothing beats going out into my freezer and getting a bag of fresh peaches that I have frozen in January and making something that you would only normally eat in the summertime. Next, we're going to make the topping, and I've got 2 cups of old-fashioned oats. I've got a cup of whole wheat pastry flour. To sweeten this time, I did add a little bit of honey. I've got about 3 tablespoons of honey, and I put maybe another tablespoon of white grape juice concentrate in there just to kind of bump it up, because if you're used to eating everything that's concentrated sweet, this is going to taste a little bland. But I remember back when I first got diagnosed and I came home, I opened the refrigerator, and I emptied out so much stuff. My little boy at the time was like, "Mommy, I want something sweet." Well, we pulled out a lot of the sweet stuff, and we started eating fresh fruit more frequently. And one day, to my surprise and happiness, I gave him some strawberries, and he's like, "Mom, I can't eat it. It's too sweet." So the taste buds can be re-educated so that you will be able to enjoy those things that are not as concentrated, and you can enjoy sweet the way nature intended. Now I'm going to put in 4 tablespoons, of canola oil. And of course, if you don't want to use canola oil, you can use olive oil, which to me is the absolute best. A little vanilla. I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of salt. And then my favorite nut, almonds. If you're going to be nuts, you need to be almond. Then I'm going to stir this up, and it's kind of like when you make sweet potato souffle and you make that crunchy topping. That's all this is. You're moistening the dry ingredients. And if you want to, you can actually put this down and put your hands in there like a real cook. And then as you put this together, it's going to kind of get like granola might do. And then we're just going to put it on top of the crisp. Now, what are the benefits of having something like this? It's much, much, much lower in fat. There's no saturated fat or cholesterol, which have all been implicated in your traditional chronic diseases. It's very high in fiber. You've got whole wheat pastry flour and whole grain oats, so that means you're getting all the B vitamins that you need, the iron that you need, the fiber that you need. You won't be constipated. Your blood vessels are going to be screaming for joy when you serve this to your body. It's not a lot of sugar in it, so you don't have to worry about your blood levels shooting up real quickly. And it's really easy to prepare. I actually have made this ahead of time and then baked it later when I needed it. So when you come home in the evening and it's like, what in the world will I make for breakfast tomorrow? Pull out a bag if you have frozen them from the summer. But if not, go to your favorite grocery store and get a bag of fresh fruit. Mix it up. Bring the kids in the kitchen, and sometimes if you don't have children, because I don't want you to think that I'm just appealing to women who are married with children, but if there's a special someone in your life, bring them into the kitchen with you. I don't know what gives me greater joy than cooking with Mr. Goodman in the kitchen. So many things come out of cooking with Mr. Goodman in the kitchen. After you have put this on top like that, then you cover it either with the top that goes with it or put some aluminum foil in it. Bake it in the oven at 350 for about 35 to 40 minutes, and then take the top off and let the top of it brown, and it'll be something absolutely delicious that you can add to your repertoire. Got a few more things I want to say to you. Don't move. We'll be right back.
We often hear about the dangers of sunlight and its risks for skin cancer. Well, those warnings should not go unheeded. Overexposure to sunlight does increase your risk for skin cancer. But have you ever heard about the benefits of moderate sun exposure? Sunlight in moderation, which is about 15 to 30 minutes per day, can really benefit the body. Daily exposure can increase circulation and help red blood cells carry more oxygen, convert a cholesterol-like substance to vitamin D, increase the number of white blood cells in the body, improve liver function, reduce arthritic joint pain, kill certain germs on exposure, reduce tumor size, promote restful sleep, and impart a healthy tone to the mind and nervous system. Diabetics will benefit with the lowering of blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, and triglycerides, and thereby reduce their risk for heart disease and stroke. And it helps to prevent and counteract depression. So go ahead, get a little sunlight every day. You don't have to stay in it all day. Take a walk, work in the yard, sit in a window, and study the Word. I promise you'll feel better if you do. Today we made that relish, the fruit crisp, and the fruit sauce. We're about to hit berry season. Run out and get you some and fight for your life. If you're interested in getting the recipes, just shoot me an email and I'll send it right back.
Do you want something to shout about too? Then stop procrastinating. Make some decisions. Don't wait until the doctors tell you you have 2 years or less to live. You can decide today to make different choices and eat from the bounty of the plants that nature has provided. And start making your kitchen like my kitchen, where we cook up good health. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching today. If you or someone you know suffers from diabetic neuropathy, peripheral arterial disease, or peripheral vascular disease, there is hope for you. The staff at Lifestyle Therapeutics is waiting to get you back on your feet. To find out how, give our office a call at 256-704-2352. And while you're at it, register for our free monthly First Thursdays Lifestyle for Better Health class. Can't make the class? Meet me at Garden Cove Produce, where we'll be cooking up good health. We look forward to showing you how to make better choices and helping you to recover your health. Give us a call today at 256-704-2352. Lifestyle Therapeutics is centrally located at 4825 University Square, Suite 9, Huntsville. Lifestyle Therapeutics, where circulation means health.
To learn more about Donna's victory over breast cancer, pick up her book, Something to Shout About. It chronicles her journey in a straightforward, personal way. Something to Shout About is available online through Remnant Publications or locally at Garden Cove Produce. Get your copy today.
Cooking up good health now. Wait a minute. Hold my mule.